So day 2, this video will go up pretty quickly after my day 1 video, because my day 1 video was done towards the end of day 1, and this one, the clock has sort of just ticked over into day 2. So there's not a huge amount of time in between, but there's a few hours. I've had a chance to go and try and practice mindfulness and pull myself out of the episode that I was having in the first episode. So I do feel better. I feel exhausted because obviously when you expend that sort of level of emotional energy, it's going to have an effect on you, and you always feel tired after it. But that video was a good example, I think, of how when you are a fapper, you have no real emotional control. I mean, you could hear me in that first video and I was sort of like, oh no, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Panicking and this and that. But, reality is that isn't going to achieve anything. The reality is I need to, do what I need to do. And if I take all the steps that I can right now and I try my hardest, I should be able to get into uni. And even if I can't, then it is going to be a case of finding another job, menial job for the time being, and just thinking about my other options. But it's not the end of the world. We'll figure things out. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about my sort of history in this video, just so that everybody can get kind of a grip on who I am and where I'm coming up from. So I spoke about how after I had my experience with my former friend, the girl, that I started to look into self-improvement, and I've been doing that for a long time, probably about 18 months. But some people might think, well, 18 months, you should be really, really far along in your progression by now, and I would agree to an extent, but I probably have a few more problems than the average PMO addict, I would say. I had pretty bad parents when I was growing up, and a lot of the last 18 months really has been about understanding how that affected me and overcoming that kind of thing, which has been great. I have grown a lot from it. And even though from that first video, that's the worst I have been in a long time. But prior to my self-improvement journey, man, I mean, that was pretty much me almost non-stop. I was constantly stressed, constantly panicking, worrying about everything, had no faith in myself. And I think it's really revealing that I struggled to improve for a long time. The first year really of my self-improvement journey, I made very, very, very slow progress. And then as soon as I jumped onto Nofap, it kind of turbocharged everything. And it is important to say that Nofap isn't the cure to all of your problems. A lot of people have pointed that out, and it's very true. See, the cure to all of my problems was the things that I was doing before, which was, studying up on my own issues and getting to know myself and how I tick, and, trying to implement changes into my habits and into my thought processes, things like that, kind of advanced stuff. But, I was making a very, very slow progress with that. Slow progress. Sorry, brain fog. But when I jumped on Nofap, it just turbocharged everything. And within a month, I felt literally the best I've ever felt in my entire life. I had never felt so happy, at peace with myself, optimistic, driven, possessing of like self-belief, not having brain fog, having more energy, and just feeling like I could actually achieve things. Because when I'm fapping, I don't have any of that. I lose it all. It's night and day. Like, literally, when I'm fapping, I'm tired all the time. I have like a constant low-level depression, which has improved, actually, I do have to say, but it's still there. So you've got tiredness and depression, which is a great combination. I have no faith in myself, no self-belief. My social anxiety starts to come back because I feel like I'm just a piece of shit and I'm worthless. So why, would anybody want to talk to me or anything like that? My work performance goes down the drain. All ambition leaves me. And also, I just become a lot of a darker person. I think like nasty thoughts, which are not my own. And people really can detect your vibe. They know if you're a negative person. And so, that's why that girl that I talked about in the first video, she noticed a huge change in me and she was curious about it. And that led her from being a person who just like avoided me completely to someone who suddenly wanted to get to know me and was like, wow, he's changed. There's something different about him. This is interesting. Let me go talk to him. And then she talked to me, and because obviously I had a way better self-esteem and no brain fog, I was sharp, so I could be like, witty, with a good sense of humour, chatting, having some banter and things like that. And, she probably left that first time talking to me with a really good impression. Like, wow, I must have misjudged him. And then, talk a few more times and things like that, and then hang out sort of outside of work. And what do you know, like, we're getting on like a house on fire and everything's great. But, I mean, the problem there really was, and like this will probably sound stupid, but I wasn't actually ready to have like a girl in my life at that point, because obviously, like, you guys probably got from the first video that I am pretty inexperienced. Like, I'm not as inexperienced as some guys. I've had sex a few times. I have had like a girlfriend for like a year when I was 16, sort of 17, and I get like very occasional female interest, but not a lot at all. But I definitely really lack experience. And when I met her, I was very fresh into my Nofap journey. I wasn't over what the experience with the borderline personality girl had done to me, and I needed more time. So I tried to sort of push myself a bit too quick, and it just didn't pan out. And sadly, we went from a point where it looked like maybe we could really make a go of it to I just had to back off because I was I wasn't ready. But she was ready for a relationship, and attractive girls don't have to look too far for a guy that will give them that. So she started up with some other dude instead, who was a guy that she initially had blown off because she was interested in me. So it's funny how it worked. Like, but you have to like look at the positive, and I think the positive was that I wasn't ready, and I think that if I had have had a relationship there, it wouldn't have been the right time. I didn't have everything dialed in. I wasn't there. So, no point in crying over like spilled milk, or as the saying goes. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I have like a long path ahead of me. I really need to work on my stress levels. Like, I had an aim to quit smoking as well. Like, I really do need to quit smoking, but I'm struggling with it. And with my stress the way it is at the moment, it's impossible. But This is the whole point of Nofap, isn't it? You build up a little bit of a streak and you build your strength up gradually over time. 7 days you start noticing some changes, 14 days, 21 days, a month. These are all stages on the journey. We are on day 2, which we know we're not going to feel any benefits yet. We have several more days before we start to feel, a little different, and the brain fog starts to clear just a little bit. So it's a journey. To anybody who's listening out there, I really, really appreciate views, and I'd really appreciate feedback. I want this channel to get a discussion going. When I was on my best streaks of Nofap, there were guys like Algernon Perry, Ajax Unchained was really active, the New Breed Hebrew King, he was really active, Robert Sandoval and Ex Nostradamus, Truth of YouTube, they were guys that were going at it. Anthony Decide was there, McCoy was there, and a lot of these channels have dropped off a little bit, and I don't know if there are still some good channels out there, definitely, but there's I think the quality has dropped, and I think we're all in this as men together. We're trying to improve, and we're trying to become the men that we know that we can be, and so that's just why I want to get discussion going. And I think the more quality that's out there, the better. And I know my videos right now are they're nowhere near as good as any of those guys, and I don't even show my face, because look, the truth is I'm a coward when it comes to that. I admire those guys so much for actually showing their faces, but with me, I live in a pretty small town, and I don't want to be known as the Nofap guy. That may change, and the further in we get, maybe one day I will show my face, because I'll be proud of what I've achieved. But for right now, I just have to keep it on the down low. But hopefully that doesn't distract people from viewing the videos, because I think the content is more important than what my face looks like. You don't need to stare at my face. But yeah, so look, this is day 2. The quality is not there. I know my brain is a mess, but we're going to get better as we go along. So just stick with it, guys, and let's get up there. Let's get 7 days, let's get to 30 days and start putting out some really worthwhile stuff. All right, peace out. Keep pushing on anyone who's on this journey. We're going to get there.